Welcome back, everyone. I am Psycho Emerald. Today I'm back with another Star Wars The Vintage Collection action figure review. Today I have the Clone Trooper from the Andor series. This is a brand new sculpt for a Clone Trooper in the Hasbro Vintage Collection line, and I'm really excited about it. This has been a figure I've been excited for a while just because I like the look of the plain white Phase 2 Clone Troopers. So naturally, this has been a figure that I've had on my radar for a little while. I felt like I had quite a bit to say about this figure, and I'm sorry for all you Black Series people since it's been a little bit TVC heavy lately. But I will assure you there are some Black Series videos in the pipeline that I did make a community post about, so definitely be on the lookout for that if you're more of a Black Series collector. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about the Clone Trooper from the Andor series, and I loved the Andor series. I thought the flashback was really cool. I loved how the Clone Troopers didn't really feel like they were just in there for fan service, like, oh look, there's a Clone Trooper. It felt like there was a lot of meaning to the way they did it, the way they showed that Cassian's character arc of becoming a rebel started in the very early days of the Empire after what they did to his father. So I thought that was a really cool scene. And speaking of that scene, let's check out the card back first. So here we have it. So sorry about the glaring light. I'll probably turn that down in a minute when we get to the close-up of the figure. But you can see the Andor logo there, which looks really good. Sorry, there's some knife marks from when I cut it open. Then we got that really cool shot right out of the television series right there of the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. It says Clone Trooper Phase 2 armor. You got this yellow color. Some other figures that have been coming out recently. I currently have that guy and that guy on pre-order, so I will probably be doing reviews of those very soon. I'm very excited about the Starkiller especially, just because I've been waiting for a Starkiller figure in my collection for a very long time. Lots of legal stuff, Disney Hasbro logos, but a very cool card back. Altogether, in my opinion, one of my favorite vintage collection card backs. So let's get into a close-up look at the Clone Trooper. All right, so here we have the Phase 2 clone. So you can see first and foremost, the Tamara Morrison head sculpt is actually really nice. I like the flat top haircut he's got going on. I think the likeness is really good on there, but most Tamara Morrison likenesses look pretty good, especially since they usually have the creative liberty of making him look a little bit younger, so it doesn't have to be a spot-on likeness, since it's not exactly what he looked like in the films and such. But I really am happy that they gave us this unhelmeted head. Even though we didn't see that in the series, I'm really glad that we got that so it can be a more universal Clone Trooper figure. The rest of the paint apps are pretty sparse. We do have some on the feet here, on the soles of the shoes, which look really cool. Of course, we got the black scattered around it. And yeah, we've got just that very cool armor design for the Clone Troopers. I will say, he looks a little chubby. He reminds me of the FN2187 Finn action figure I used to have when I was younger, where the head looks a little small for the armor. The armor does look a bit bulky, but it really does look like a dude in the armor. But the armor does look like it doesn't fit quite as tight as it seems to on screen, maybe. But maybe that's just my opinion. I guess if you do look at the card back, it does look like it's fitting a little bit loose, especially when I go like that. That looks hilarious. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely doesn't look super sleek. It looks a bit more sleek in person, I would say, rather than on camera, but I still think it looks really cool. The sculpt is definitely there. The proportions are just a little odd. I think the head is a little small, but I think that's so that you can fit the helmet over it. Speaking of which, let's move on to accessories. We have the helmet here, which is the biggest griping point a lot of people have with it. If we look at the paint apps are pretty clean. Just the big problem is the visor. You put it on the figure, which it slides on very nicely there. It just starts to look really odd because the actual visor portion of the helmet is very thin. And it's misprinted. If you look real close, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but there's actually a space between the black line and the visor where the visor is supposed to be, and it's a little bit too low, so it goes a little bit onto the face portion of the helmet, and yeah, it doesn't look quite right. But we have the black line going around on the top, which looks nice. We have the respiration system at the front there, which looks nice. The blue lines on the side as well, and overall a good sculpt to it. I just think kind of literally they kind of missed the mark on the visor, and it looks to be that way on most of the copies of the figure that I've seen online and such. But overall, when you look at that, it's just a cool looking Phase 2 clone. Wish the visor was printed a little better, but overall looks pretty nice. So now let's check out the blasters. We do have the standard short blaster DC-15, I believe is what it's called. It's a very nice clone blaster, classic, which is what I've been posing him with. And then we've got the larger one, which is, I don't ever remember the name of this, DC-17, or maybe that's the pistol. I don't know. It's very cool, the longer rifle blaster that we see Clone Troopers use on quite a few occasions. So then we could check how those fit into his hand. Of course, you go like this. He's got a trigger finger there. You want him to have his finger in the trigger. It's very easy. Just go like that, and then you turn it. Boom. And then you can easily bring this arm up to hold it like that, and you can do some fun poses. Maybe have them walking, marching like they were in the series, like that. I think that looks pretty cool. And then we also have the second one over here, which will be pretty much the same, just a larger blaster, but it does have a smaller trigger guard, it looks like. So it's a little bit more difficult to get his finger in there, but it's definitely possible. And put his other hand there. Aiming poses aren't quite as good as they would be on a Black Series figure with butterfly joints, but you can still definitely do them. But yeah, butterfly joints aren't really a thing you can do with a figure this small, and I understand that for sure, but I do think that looks pretty cool. Now I've showed you guys some of the poses he's capable of. I guess I can show you the articulation a little bit. Got a good tilt there, which is always important. Good ball jointed torso. No butterfly joints like I mentioned, but pretty much the standard fare, single jointed swivel, same with the knees. Good rocker ankles, which are my favorite point of articulation, the most important in my opinion. And yeah, overall, articulation doesn't break up the sculpt too much, which is really nice. Doesn't hardly break it up at all, and just has good solid articulation for a 3.75 inch figure. So yeah, let me get him into a cool pose, and I'll give you guys a closer look at the Clone Trooper from Andor. So overall, I think this is a really solid figure, especially if you're into army building. I personally am not. I did buy 2 of these, but that was just so I could get free shipping on Entertainment Earth. I gave the other one away to my brother. But yeah, this would definitely be great for army building if you want to, recreate the scene from Andor or do some fun Clone Wars stuff. Possibilities are endless with this figure, especially with Bad Batch. A lot of these guys show up in Bad Batch as well. So definitely one you should pick up. The biggest problem I have with it is just that misprint on the visor that seems to be on most of the figures, which is really unfortunate. But overall, if you want a great 3.75 inch Clone Trooper figure, this is probably the best one money can buy. So I would definitely recommend grabbing it, especially before it goes up in price, because I think it probably will, because we all know how Clone Troopers go, especially with people buying a lot of these. It's probably not going to stay in stock for long, so grab it while you can. And I highly recommend this figure. I think it's a really fun one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. Also, if you like Vintage Collection figure reviews and you aren't yet subscribed, I do a lot of that on my channel if you couldn't tell already. And I would really appreciate it if you wanted to stick around, maybe check out a couple other videos, and maybe hit that subscribe button in order to join the Knights of Mischief. As always, I hope you guys found this review helpful and enjoyable, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.